Are we filming?
I thought he was going to die at first.
All right, so one of the issues that Clancy has is he cries when he's in his kennel. Now, right now I'm demoing him. I want to see how he feels about the kennel.
He hates it.
Okay, so he's eating one of his little treats or toys. I think a treat. So what I'm doing is I'm offering him these really high value treat and I'm popping it in the kennel. I'm not requiring him to go in there. He's got to do it on his own. There we go. Now, I'm going to assign the word kennel. Kennel. I would come up with a word for this. So eventually you can direct him and say kennel, and he knows to go in the kennel. So you can say anything you want. I have a Dalmatian. I call mine Station because he's a fire dog. So what I'm doing is just every time that he touches the treat with his mouth, he hears the word kennel. Kennel. Now, there's another one in there. Now, the first time he only stuck his head or one or two paws in there. Now he went in completely. Kennel. So now he's looking. So I'm going to wait for him to come out, and I'm going to toss another treat in there. Now, the analogy I use for this is if every time we went to a restaurant we found a $100 bill in the lobby, we would probably eat there a lot. Well, for him, if every time he goes in this kennel, he gets the best treats he's ever had, well, this kennel is a good place to hang out. Now, this is what we call problem solving. He can't get it there. He's got to go around to get it. There we go. When he goes in there, kennel. So every time the second it touches his lips, we need him to hear the command word of kennel. Notice how he's lingering in there now. So before you put him in the kennel, you had the kennel in a furnace room. So that's kind of looked at as a negative because it's not a place that you hang out in. Kennel. Now I'm throwing another one a little bit deeper in, so he's got to go farther. Kennel. Kennel. So every time he goes in, we want him to hear the command word kennel. And then the reason I took the blanket out is because we can hear that sound of the treat hitting.
So there's no problem with having. I usually put a little puffy towel in.
You could do that later on. I mean, right now, this time of year, we're getting into autumn. But, you know, dogs, they have fur. They would actually prefer it cooler.
Sitting on the plastic doesn't bother me.
Right now it's cool. Later on when it gets winter time, then you would want to go back to having a blanket. And you could put a blanket in there, but I would initially start out like this because I just find that this creates the blanket. Sometimes they get covered or they get in a corner and so they can't find it. Kennel. So one of the things I would have you do is when you're sitting here hanging out and Clancy's with you, every once in a while pull out a couple of treats. Just toss one in the kennel from where you're sitting. Eventually your aim will get really good. And then he gets kennel. Gets used to going and hanging out in the kennel. What will happen is eventually he's going to go in the kennel on his own and just hang out.
That's what everybody says, and that's what would be a goal.
But we have to create positive association.
Crying first. And then
Exactly. But right now, when you put him in the kennel, you're putting it in a furnace room, and then you close the door, and it's kind of a scary place for him.
It's dark. Yeah.
This is a room that he hangs out in all the time. So this is a very familiar, comfortable environment. So he feels good about being here. So let's talk about this. There's 3 ways to do this. The first way that I do it is kennel, just like I did. I throw the treat in, and so you notice he's not having any hesitation going in it now. This time you're going to say the K word.
Kennel.
Perfect. So the first way I do it is I toss the treat and let the dog see me toss the treat in. Second way I do it is I leave a treat in here when he's upstairs.
Kennel.
Oh, not quite yet.
Oh.
Kennel.
Kennel.
So I want him just to go in there and discover it. Now, don't point the treat out. A lot of people are like, there's a treat right here.
Find it, yeah.
Let him, he'll get some confidence from that. Now he's lingering.
Yeah.
So every time we go to the kennel, these great treats happen. So the first way is we toss the treats in there to get him to go in there. Second way is we leave one in there and we just observe him, and when he goes in, we say the word kennel. The third way we do it is, let's just focus on those 2. The first 2 we're going to do is we're going to entice him to go and reward him. After a while, he's going to go in there on his own just to check.
Kennel.
Is there a treat in there? So when he does that and he goes in on his own accord, even though there's no treat, say the word kennel when he goes into the kennel.
Probably smells
He
class.
smells marrow. There's 3.
Kennel. Oh, I thought you had one. Kennel.
And one more.
Kennel.
Perfect. So as you can see now,
He does
he's
like those treats.
yes, and he enjoys going in the kennel now. So this is going to take a little bit of practice. Let's go ahead and film me for the summation on this. So this is going to be something I'd like you to do several times a day. So when you're coming up, in the morning, you're watching, you're drinking your coffee, come down here, get about 5 treats and just toss one in, let him go in and get it, kennel, then go back out, wait a minute, toss another one in. Do it kind of randomly. Don't just have him go in there, kennel, 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 because then he just thinks it's a game. But we want to have him, there we go. So now the transition, kennel.
Kennel.
Now he's going in on his own accord before I threw the treat. This is actually pretty fast. So now when he goes in there, if we have a treat, we're going to give him that treat. This was going to stop him from crying in the kennel because it's going to be a good positive association. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to do some practice.
Kennel.
So I would like you to do about 3 or 5 different times during the day, about 5 to 7 treats each time. Within a couple days, I bet you he's hanging out in there on his own.
Okay.
All right. So that's
I'm
how we can.
kind of worried about the lady behind us.
Well, that's why we want to create a positive association. And we're going to cover that in the next video.